Good evening, everybody. Happy Africa Day. I'm Bryan Ramkilawan, the Ramkilawan, not the Japanese one. I'm the CEO of the Cape Town Fashion Council. We represent around about 450 designers nationally. We're about partnerships and entrepreneurial development within the fashion industry. These are two designers that really work really closely with us, and I'll let them introduce themselves to you.
My name is Didier. I'm from a company called Magents.
And hi, I'm Thabo Makhetha-Kwinana, and I am the founder of the brand Thabo Makhetha.
Yes,
Global Monitors has ranked Cape Town as the #1 fashion destination on the African continent right now. How would you say African fashion is on the rise?
Well, the African story has always been told from a Western perspective. And even us, when we go to school and so on, we learn about Africa and learn about ourselves with a story that's really been told by the West. And so his story or her story has been told not by Africans. So what is interesting, what is happening right now, and the rise that you are talking about, is that Africans are starting to tell the African story. And we are in the fashion game, and we've seen this in music. In South Africa specifically, you first saw that in the music, the Kwaito music and stuff came through in the 90s. And only later on the fashion world caught on to that. And we also always think of it as what is not inside cannot come out. So if you have a Western idea about what does it mean to be an African, then that Western idea is going to come out in your craft, whether it's music or fashion and so on and so on. So it's very important to have that African DNA, that African idea about Africa, to produce designs and stuff that is African. So we believe in that rise, but we believe the rise must come not from the color of your skin, but from within. And if it's not within, it cannot come out.
Double.
I think definitely fashion in Africa is rising, and I think what's exciting to see now is to see designers in Africa actually telling their own story. What's happened in the past a lot of the time is that you get the European brands who then decide that, okay, Africa is the theme for this collection, and that's how our story always gets told. They take the inspiration from this continent, repackage it, and sell it back to us. So it's really exciting to start seeing designers who are actually, taking the inspiration from the surroundings, from the continent, from their home, and packaging that and selling it to the outside world. And that's quite important, because a lot of the time as well, the perspective people have of Africa is basically what you go and find at the flea market, and people don't believe that we can produce quality and luxury goods. And we've got the materials to do that, and we've got the manufacturing to do that. So definitely it's quite exciting to see what's going on in African fashion.
Well, I think that the whole topic for the discussion tonight was about 10 minutes of contemporary African fashion. I think the big misinterpretation is that we constantly perceive African fashion as kaftans and orchid prints. What inspires, looking at the examples of your stuff out there, it's very contemporary and it's very current. What inspires you to translate what you see in your environment into something that's from Africa to something that's contemporary?
With my designs, basically, I've always enjoyed doing things that have a cultural reference. And for myself, I am Sotho. I was born in Lesotho and grew up in South Africa. So what I've decided to do is take my heritage, being the Basotho blankets, and we take the physical blankets and produce the garments that you see on the screen behind you, the jackets, the capes. And it's just that idea of taking something traditional and modernizing it so that we can continue to wear our traditional and pride in a modern way, in the cities and all of that, rather than just boxing it up as something traditional.
Did he?
Well, we've taken a decision in 2009. We used to manufacture only in Vietnam, and because most of our distribution was international. And we've taken a decision to move all our production to Africa, and that was easier said than done. So from our fabrics, cotton, everything right through to, from design right through to factories and store ownership, and that is all African. But of course we speak through our graphics mainly. And yeah, that's, I think we were the first to put like African on your t-shirt. Yeah. And that creates a lot of conversation. So we like to do some controversial stuff as well.
We discussed this earlier, and for the people out there that constantly want to ask the fashionistas, what's the trend that you want to follow? And I'm a big fan of there is no trend. You follow what you feel like that you're comfortable with and believe in what you do. How do you interpret trends, or is it just something that you perceive on your own?
For me, I don't think, really there isn't something called trends nowadays. It's just basically the group you fall under and you follow what that group is doing. But really, that's the truth. If the cool kid is wearing bell bottoms, watch all the cool kids all of a sudden start wearing bell bottoms again. So basically that is what tends to happen. But there's a lot of individualism coming out, which is exciting. So trends...
Yeah, Africa's known as like a colorful continent, and we a lot of European brands mostly do black, or you can say white and gray and so on, maybe brown, olive. And a lot of the stores, if you sell to retailers, they want to push you into a certain direction to only do those colors because it sells for them and so. But the consumer really loves color, and they've known us for color, so we still express a lot, but we don't follow specifically yellow or olive or certain color that's in at any time.
Talking trends, Africa right now, and I think for the audience as well, I think in the next year or two, you're going to see a lot of Africa in a lot of design-based spaces. A lot of your product is African and African-based. How do you see the intellectual property that's going to be protected and what you're going to be doing? Thabo, you've had experiences of where your product has been ripped off as well. How do you guys see that working out, especially with the big brands coming out from international brands that are coming into South Africa? They're very easily going to be sucking up the inspiration and doing what you want to do. Are you finding ways in which you're going to protect what you're doing?
With us, as I explained, that we actually taken the physical Basotho blankets and we are producing the garments from that. So the struggle is that basically anyone can go and grab the blanket. So what we did try and do is get protection by communicating with the guys producing the blankets. And over a period of 3 to 4 years, we seemed to be getting somewhere with them to have them to support us. They then decided to go get another designer who started doing this within the space of the year and give the protection and the help to them. So unfortunately, the problem is that, clothing is a basic right. You can't protect a garment. It's really the designs that go behind it and all of that. So it's for us, it's still a struggle. We've asked for legal advice. We've asked for help and assistance. But unfortunately as well, when you also have some government institutions funding people who are clearly ripping off your work, it's really heartbreaking as a designer because, this is... it's your authentic work, and it's really heartbreaking to see that. But we're still pursuing it and still trying to, go around that one.
Mm. Did you use a lot of iconography especially with the Madibas and stuff like that? How's that work for you?
Well, we can't really. If you, the thing with graphics, if you do a graphic and somebody changes like 20%, then it's a different graphic. So you can't really go on copyright. So we mainly go with a brand. We register the brand everywhere, but the actual design, the graphic or so, you can't really copyright that. So if somebody copies it, if it's a big brand, then obviously they got a lot of distribution, so their design that they might have taken from you goes all over, and everybody thinks they were the first, but they might not have been. So to protect that is very difficult.
Yeah, and I know with us, with the Cape Town Fashion Council, you guys are doing a lot of projects with us. What are your plans to break through internationally? I think with the exchange rate being what it is right now, it's an advantage for us to look at markets outside of South Africa. And I think the South African consumer, that's one big thing about it, is that the South African consumer tends to be more attracted to international brands rather than the local brands. And yet the demand for South African brands is far greater outside of South Africa than it is in South Africa itself. So what projects are you looking at outside South Africa?
Well, since our restructure, 95% of our distribution was outside of South Africa, like you said. But since our restructure, we started in South Africa. So we're going to start only doing our stores. We've done now here in Cape Town and Johannesburg. And then we're looking at the UK as a market first, and then later the States. And so focus on every market until we do it well, and then go to the next one instead of just spreading out fast.
Mm. And then from our side, basically, we focused on a niche market. And of course, the blankets are made from wool, so they're quite warm. So we basically focused on the northern hemisphere so that we can continuously work throughout the year. So we are looking at places in the UK and in the States, and we've had some communication with a few boutiques and individuals as well. And then they're just ordering straight offline from us as well.
Okay, that's our 10 minutes. So just a quick wrap up for us, or in a 1 minute. I think from us as the Cape Town Fashion Council, where we're supporting local designers, I think, to the audience and to people out there, we'd love to encourage you to consider local before you consider an international brand. I think there's fantastic work that's happening out there, and brilliant pieces. I mean, looking at the work that's up there, it's really great stuff. In last closing words, Didi and Thabo?
You want to go first?
Well, my last words are, guys, love culture, share culture, buy local, and support local. That's the only way these brands and ourselves are going to grow in this country.
Then I would say, know your story as an African and be proud to tell it. It's got to rise from within.
Have a good day. Thank you.